Cowboys Nation, what's going on? It's Alex back again, and before we jump into this wild story, I need to stop for just 1 second because I know most of you watching my videos every single week you love hearing the latest Cowboys news and updates, but somehow you still haven't hit that subscribe button. So if you're one of those people right now, do me a huge favor, click that button, join the family, and make sure you never miss the biggest Cowboys stories that I break down right here. Now let's get straight into it, because what happened in Week 1 had Cowboys fans scratching their heads all across the country. Jaydon Blue was nowhere to be seen, a player a lot of people were buzzing about during training camp, a player some fans thought would carve out a role early in the season, and yet when the Cowboys took the field against the Browns, there was no Blue in sight, and people immediately started asking questions. Was he hurt? Was he benched? Did something happen behind the scenes? And finally, after days of silence, we got the answer. Offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer stepped up and explained exactly why Jaden Blue was absent, and let me tell you, his answer shocked a lot of people, and in some ways it raised even more questions than it answered. So stick with me because I'm going to break it all down piece by piece. First, let's rewind a little bit, because I think to understand why this is such a big deal, we have to look back at Jaden Blue's journey. Blue came into Dallas as an intriguing young running back, a guy with speed and playmaking ability, someone the Cowboys fanbase thought could potentially add a new spark to this offense, especially in a backfield that has questions after moving on from Tony Pollard and leaning more on younger talent. When training camp kicked off, Blue was one of those players that popped in practice, showing bursts of energy, catching passes out of the backfield, and looking like someone who could carve out some snaps right away. So naturally, when Week 1 arrived, fans were excited to see if this young talent would get his shot, but then the game started and we looked up and Jaden Blue wasn't even suited up, he wasn't active, and that silence on the sideline got louder and louder as the game went on. Cowboys fans started flooding social media asking, where's Blue? Why isn't he playing? What's going on here? Because let's be real, if you've been following this team long enough, you know the Cowboys have had their share of confusing roster decisions, and this felt like one of those head scratchers. So fast forward to Brian Schottenheimer addressing the media and finally giving us some clarity, and hey, race where things get interesting. Schottenheimer explained that the decision wasn't injury related. Blue wasn't hurt, he wasn't nursing anything from camp, he wasn't held out for personal reasons. No, Schottenheimer said it all came down to a coaching decision, a game plan decision, and that the team wanted to lean on other backs for Week 1, specifically guys they felt had a better fit for what the Browns defense was going to bring. And that's when Cowboys Nation really started buzzing, because let's be honest, anytime a coach says it's just a game plan decision, what fans hear is this player didn't make the cut, he didn't earn the trust yet, and maybe he's further behind than we thought, and that has a lot of people worried about what that means for Blue's role moving forward. Is this just a 1-week thing, or is this a sign that he's going to be buried on the depth chart for most of the season? And that's where the frustration really kicks in, because Cowboys fans know this offense needs a spark, it needs fresh legs, and it needs options. We saw against the Browns that while the offense had its moments, it wasn't firing on all cylinders, and you have to wonder, could Jaden Blue have given them a different look? Could he have provided that surprise element the Browns weren't prepared for? Schottenheimer insists the coaching staff has a plan for him, that they haven't lost faith in him. But you can't help but wonder how many more weeks it might take before we actually see him on the field. Now let me ask you guys straight up, do you think this was the right call by Schottenheimer to keep Jaden Blue out of Week 1? Do you believe it was really just about matchups and game planning, or do you think there's more to this story that the Cowboys aren't telling us? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I want to hear where Cowboys Nation stands on this one. For me, the biggest question isn't just about Week 1, it's about what happens in Week 2 and beyond, because the NFL is a week-to-week league, and young players like Blue don't always get endless chances. If you're not active, if you're not seeing the field, it's easy for a team to move on quickly and start giving those snaps to other players. That's why this feels like such a big story. It's not just about him missing 1 game, it's about what this could mean for his role, for his development, and maybe even for his future with the Cowboys. And let's not forget the context here. Dallas is under a lot of pressure this season. The coaching staff knows it, the players know it, the front office knows that every move, every lineup decision is going to be picked apart under a microscope. And when you take a young talent like Jaden Blue and keep him on the sidelines, people are going to ask hard questions, especially when the offense isn't dominating the way fans hope it will. So Schottenheimer's explanation might calm some nerves, but it also puts even More pressure on him to make sure the decisions he's making actually pay off on the field, and let's be real, this is nothing new for Cowboys fans. We've seen young players get hyped up in camp only to fade into the background once the real games start, and sometimes that's because they weren't ready, sometimes it's because of politics in the locker room or a coaching staff that leans on veterans. But the point is, this feels like one of those moments where the Cowboys either need to give this young guy a shot or risk wasting a talent that could actually help the team. Now, I'll say this: in Schottenheimer's defense, he made it clear that this isn't the end for Blue. He said the team still believes in him. He said the door is open for him to contribute in future games, and that sometimes it just takes patience and the right situation for a young player to find his groove. But let's be honest, patience is not something Cowboys fans have a lot of right now. This team has been stuck in the same spot for years. Good but not great, competitive but not champions, and the fan base is desperate for something new, something different that can finally push them over the top. So when you take a player like Jaydon Blue, who has shown flashes of being explosive, and you keep him off the field in week 1, it feels like more of the same cautious, predictable Cowboys approach that hasn't delivered the ultimate prize yet. And that's why this story matters more than people realize. It's not just about one rookie missing a game. It's about what this team is willing to risk in order to shake things up and actually go for it. So Cowboys Nation, hey race, where I'll leave it with you. Do you trust Brian Schottenheimer's explanation? Do you think Jaden Blue is going to carve out a role in the next few weeks, or is this just another example of Dallas mishandling young talent the way we've seen too many times before? Because if you ask me, the clock is already ticking, and if Blue doesn't see the field soon, fans are going to start losing patience real quick. That's why this next game is going to be fascinating to watch, not just for the result but for the lineup. If Blue is inactive again, then we've got a real story on our hands. If he finally suits up, then the spotlight is going to be bright on every single snap he gets, because Cowboys fans are ready to see what this kid can do. And if he delivers, maybe, just maybe, we'll look back at this week 1 absence as just a small hiccup in what could turn into a breakout season. But until then, the questions and the debates are going to keep coming. And with that, Cowboys Nation, I want to thank you for sticking with me through this breakdown. If you haven't already subscribed, now is the time. Hit that button, because trust me, this is just the beginning. You'll be covering every single twist and turn this season, from injuries to lineup decisions to shocking front office moves, and I don't want you to miss a thing. So join the family and ride with me through what's sure to be another wild Cowboys season. This is Alex signing off. I'll catch you in the next video.